Okay, we're talking about open forum today on November the 1st. So note that we are recording this, and so we will post this to Korea Say YouTube channel in the future for viewing for others whenever you wish. The comments that you put in the chat window do not appear in the recording. So by participating, you give your consent for your name and picture to appear. The leader of the focus group has been Jeff Morris for years, since 2007. He had a fall forward to him coming back, but he created the careerdfw.org website, one of the best places anyone that's new can go to find out what resources are available to help with job search in the DFW area, and a lot of it's on Zoom. And so those outside of the DFW area can participate as well. He also created the careerusa.org website and wrote a book, What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. So available on Amazon. What it is he's taken some of all the presenters he's had over the years, he's taken some of those pearls that they have out of each one of those areas and put it in the book. So it's kind of a nice synopsis of job search. All right. In the meantime, Matt Keelan, who will be joining us in a minute, he had to have an important phone call, and myself volunteered to be an interim leader to help keep the session going and to keep job search help out there and available through this workshop. So our agenda today is success stories, any job leads. We have had a couple of recruiters online in the past that say they have some job leads, our introductions. Then we'll go into the career tip of the week, interview success workshop, and pit crew information. All right. Landings. Anybody out there landed and have an announcement to make? Okay. I think Chad Little has landed. I heard. I don't know much details about that. I was hoping that somebody else, Fadi landed. He was going to try to be here this morning to announce his landing, but he's at work, so he couldn't be here. So Fadi, I can't remember, was it Kuri? I can't remember Fadi's last name. He was all excited. Yeah, Kuri. Yeah, he's all excited at Pit Crew on Wednesday. All right. Are any of our recruiters online today? Okay. So let's go to our introductions so in the chat box, if you would, enter your name, the position you're looking for, your email and LinkedIn. Of course, it's optional, but I suggest you might put your LinkedIn address in there. Anytime I want to talk to somebody and I don't know them, I'm going to look them up on LinkedIn first and find out about them. And so put that in your phone, city, so kind of know where you are. Some of you are not in the DFW area. Glad to have you aboard as well. And then if you have 2 or 3 target companies, who are those? And I just changed the sign-in sheet the last couple of sessions to have you include target companies in your sign-in. For those that are present in the room, they don't have the information in the chat, so we get it off the sign-in sheet. So if you'd like to fill that out. Also, today is, let me go ahead to this. No, today is Jeff Morris's birthday. He's coming to lunch. We'll have lunch I'll give you that in a second. And so I've got a birthday card over on the table for us to sign. And if you want to put some happy birthday wishes in the chat window for Jeff, we'll make sure he gets the copy of the chat later on so he can get those birthday wishes as well. I'm not going to say his age because I don't know it. All right. So in the room, if you come up to the podium, to the PC that's on the, what do you call that? I can't remember, cart, on the cart, and use this microphone to introduce yourself with that format.
Morning, everyone. My name is Mike Belzil. So I'm looking for a senior director, VP of product management role. So I'm looking for contacts at target companies, Keurig Dr. Pepper and Frito-Lay. So I have contacts at Walmart. So my name is Mike Belzil.
Thank you, Mike.
Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. I am Peter Watson, an internationally and multiculturally experienced project and services delivery manager, looking for more contracts at Verizon Wireless in Richardson. I have contacts with Verizon, Ericsson, and Tempest Telecom. I am Peter Watson.
Thank you, Peter. Peter speaks English, you know.
Hi, I'm Penn Hoyt, a director of marketing in the B2B space. I'm looking for positions anywhere from small companies to large companies in that regard. I have contacts all over, especially in the telecom and SaaS area. Check me out on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to help anyone out. Right now, I'm looking for a contact at Scissor Lift. I'm Penn Hoyt, director of marketing B2B.
Thank you, Penn. And we got a new person.
Oh, hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Sokolowski. I'm a VP level finance professional and career banker. I have no contacts in the area. I've only been here 4 weeks. I have a lot of experience working in London and Amsterdam. And I'm looking for contacts at, for example, JP Morgan or Wells Fargo, or even some smaller banks. My name is Eric Sokolowski. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, let's go online. So we'll start with you, Anthony.
Happy Friday. My name is Anthony Autry. I'm a senior retail operationist. I help company drive sales, grow profit at the same time, reduce costs. Anthony Autry.
Thank you, Anthony. Patty.
Hi, everybody. My name is Patty Bashy, and I'm looking for an account director or senior customer success manager role at a marketing research company. I need contacts at Mintel and Sago, and I have contacts at Nielsen and Kantar. My name is Patty Bashy.
Thank you, Patty. Mark.
Yes, my name is Mark Chemansky. I'm a senior technical writer, information architect. I enhance documentation clarity and usability, driving efficiency and cost reduction while improving customer satisfaction for complex products. I have contacts in Motorola Solutions, and that's it. My name is Mark Chemansky.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. My name is Steve Rowan. I'm a retired .NET developer, and I don't have I don't have any companies because I'm retired. My name is Steve Rowan.
Thank you, Steve. Michelle.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is Michelle Hawk. I have 15 years of accounts receivable cash posting, basically ADT or pharmacy distribution. I am looking, also I've gotten recently the 3 years in dental surgeon insurance verification. I am looking for a position with CVS distribution and also probably shop floors if I have to go into warehouse again. And other than that, this is Michelle Hawk. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. My name is Diane Bednar. I am looking for a director role of stores. I help stores increase profit through team building and innovation. I'm looking for contacts at Tory Burch, and I have contacts at Tractor Supply. My name is Diane Bednar.
Thank you, Diane. Steve Sulkin.
Morning, I'm Steve Sulkin. I'm a director of operations excellence, also called process improvement. I specialize in early stage lean deployment, helping people work together better as an organizational psychologist with Lean Six Sigma and ex-Toyota trained I'm targeting Envision Physician Services. They staff the EDs with physicians, and I can help with Baylor Scott and White. I'm Steve Sulkin.
Thank you, Steve. James.
Get off you here. Good morning. My name is James Rankin. I'm an experienced IT executive, about 20 years experience in IT. I'm looking for a role as a VP of operations or delivery. I've got contacts at NTT Data. I'm not really focusing on leading large companies, mostly small to mid-sized businesses. Again, my name is James Rankin.
Thank you, James. Hello, Rosina.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rosina Gallman, and I am currently looking for a senior talent acquisition consultant, business partner, or senior recruiter position. I have contacts across a diverse set of industries. So if I hear something, I'm going to reach out to you guys directly. And then I'm currently looking for contacts at Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, Delta Dental, Unum Dental, and Walmart, either corporate office in Bentonville or local Texas home office in Carrollton. And I'm also your career tip of the week host, which I'll be hosting in just a few minutes. Thanks again. And Rosina Gallman, Senior Talent Acquisition Consultant, Business Partner, or Senior Recruiter position.
Well, you know to contact Anthony Autry, right?
Yes, sir. We have spoken. Thank you.
I'm sure you have. All
Such a
right.
blessing. Such a blessing. Love you. Love you.
Yeah.
Anthony.
Scott, good morning. Scott Boudreau. You are muted. Todd Haney. Sorry, Todd. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Todd Haney. I'm interested in customer success manager or implementation specialist roles. I deliver a competitive edge and nurture relationships with diverse stakeholders. I have contacts with Dallas College and Tyler Technologies. I'm looking for contacts also with Tyler Technologies, CoreLogic, and Caterpillar. My name is Todd Haney.
Thank you very much, Todd. Let's see.
This is Scott. Can I try talking now? Sorry, I couldn't.
Oh yeah, jump on.
Sorry, long story, but computer problem. So anyway, this is Scott Boudreau. I am certified in inventory control and production planning. I'm a CPIM, looking for a supply chain job in central New Jersey or remotely, specializing in inventory control or production planning. If it has a part number, I can manage it. If it doesn't, I'll create one. Scott Boudreau.
Thank you much, Scott. Did I miss anybody? Okay, we have one more person in the room. Cindy. Can you go up to the computer and say hello?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Cindy Liu. I am a business strategist, and I am looking for titles such as strategy manager or program manager. I'm looking for a contact at Heidelberg Materials North America, and I have contacts at Dell and American Airlines. Again, my name is Cindy Liu. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Elise, I see you have joined us. How about a recruiter speech today?
Hey guys, Elise with Thomas Edwards Group. We are still seeing an inflow of FP&A and tax roles in this market, so that's good if you are on the FP&A and tax side. I just hopped on and I'll throw my information in the chat. Would love to connect on LinkedIn.
Great. Thank you much. You know, the chat will be available in a follow-up email to the participants that are here today. And if you have a legible email address on the sign-in sheet, I'll tell you, sometimes they're pretty challenging to read those. And so if you can make that available to us, you will get the information as well. Anyone else? I think I've got everybody.
I joined late, but I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Walt. It's Nancy Wall.
Well, thank you, Nancy. Can you tell us what kind of job you're looking for and wherever you need some contacts or?
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Nancy Wall, and I'm looking for a job in learning and development, a senior leader position. I recently separated from a company where I was the global senior learning strategist and had 40 global employees reporting to me and responsible for budget, stakeholder management, awesome learning and development experiences. And I'm looking for contacts either in organizational development or learning and development. Typically, it falls under HR, but some organizations have their own specific areas where my skills fit. I'm also a certified project manager and life coach and facilitator. And so I'm really looking to help an organization grow and help bring out the best in people and the companies. And so I have contacts at a lot of different organizations, especially in the Tampa Bay area. And so that's where I'm located. So I'm really looking for something in Tampa or remote. I was offered to relocate. I have connections at IBM, but IBM is really looking for people in other countries, geographies, not necessarily in the US at this point. And so I'm Nancy Wall, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you so much for including me.
Glad to have you aboard, Nancy. Thank you. Matt and I will introduce ourselves in a minute or so. So, Rosina, it's career tip of the week time.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thank you so much, Walt. Well, everybody, this week's tip of the week, we're starting a new series. It's November, and I think I'm going to go November and December because based on my research, I have found a lot of information that I can share with you guys. And so, with that said, this week's tip of the week is going to kick off the series with interview questions. I think this would be a great series because of the fact that with interview questions, you can practice on your own as well as practice with the pit crew, practice with Walt and the interview success workshop. Practice, practice, practice. That really is the key to becoming the best interviewer and preparing yourself best for the opportunities that you're going to be presented with. So this week's tip of the week is how to answer the 64 toughest interview questions. This was just dropped in my lap last Wednesday when, during Interview Wednesday, one of the participants had stated how well she really liked this particular guide. And so when I looked at it, I was like, yep, like it too. It goes into a lot of details, but it has really good interview questions. And I won't say traps, but there are kind of why people are asking those questions, what they're looking for, and then how you can best answer the 64 toughest interview questions. So with that said, everyone is nervous on interviews. And if you simply allow yourself to feel nervous, you'll do much better. Remember also that it's difficult for the interviewer as well. In general, be upbeat and positive, never be negative. Rehearse your answers and time them. And I think that's really critically important because you don't want to drag things on. So never talk for more than 2 minutes straight. Don't try to memorize answers word for word. Use the answers shown here as a guide only. And don't be afraid to include your own thoughts and words. To help you remember key concepts, jot down and review a few keywords for each answer. Rehearse your answers as frequently as possible, and they will come to you naturally in interviews. As you will read in the accompanying report, the single most important strategy in interviewing, as in all phases of your job search, is what we call the greatest executive job finding secret, and it is find out what people want and then show them how you can help them get it. Find out what an employer wants most in his or her ideal candidate and then show how you meet those qualifications. In other words, you must match your abilities with the needs of the employer. You must sell what the buyer is buying. To do that, before you know what to emphasize in your answers, you must find out what the buyer is buying. What is he looking for? And the best way to do that is ask a few questions yourself. You will see how to bring all this off skillfully as you read through the first 2 questions of this report. But regardless of how you accomplish it, you must remember that this strategy above all, before blurting out your qualifications, you must get some idea of what the employer wants most. And then once you know what he wants, you can then present your qualifications as a perfect key to fit the look of that position. So in the guide, there's going to be other important interview strategies that are covered. And then also you want to, from a key concept, you want to turn your weaknesses into strengths. And you'll see how to do that in just a few minutes, or as you read the guide. And then you want to think before you answer. A pause to collect your thoughts is a hallmark of a thoughtful person. As a daily exercise, you want to practice being more optimistic. For example, try putting a positive spin on events and situations you would normally regard as negative. This is not meant to turn you into a Pollyanna, but to sharpen your selling skills. The best salespeople, as well as the best liked interview candidates, come off as being naturally optimistic, can-do people. You can dramatically raise your level of attractiveness by daily practicing to be more optimistic and positive. And then you want to also be honest and never lie. You want to keep an interview diary. Right after each interview, note what you did right, what could be done a little bit better, and what steps you should take next with this particular contact. Then take those steps, and then don't be like 95% of humanity who basically will not follow up on something because they never do. So about the 64 questions. In this guide, you might feel that the answers to the following questions are canned, and they can seldomly match up with the exact way you are asked the questions in actual interviews. The questions and answers are designed to be as specific and realistic as possible. And so you want to, but no preparation can anticipate thousands of possible variations onto these questions. What's important is that you thoroughly familiarize yourself with the main strategies behind each answer, and it will be invaluable to you if you commit to memory a few key points that let you instantly call to mind your best answers to the various questions. And if you do this and follow the principles of successful interviewing presented here in this guide, you're going to do extremely well. So the writers of the guide wish you luck and happy job hunting. And I do the same. Rosina Gallman, Career Tip of the Week, how to answer the 64 toughest interview questions. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you much, Rosina. Appreciate that. Might mention this in a minute. So let me talk a little bit about what I do. So let me introduce myself as Walt Glass. I am an interview success coach. I am retired and I'm a volunteer to help people gain skills and confidence for a successful hiring interview. And what does a successful hiring interview look like? Well, when I was, after working 25 years and went through the 3rd round of downsizing and I got an interview, I was asked one question. He said, "Walter, what can you do for me?" Well, first of all, when they use Walter, that's that lightens up. It says, But I didn't know how to answer that question. I was ready to go through my resume and tell you everything I did and see if that might work out for them. So I learned a great lesson right there. And so back in 2000, this is 24 and a half years ago, I developed the interview success workshop. And so people are buying, companies are buying. And if you look at some of those tips, they're buying who we are, what we do, and how we help. So that's the 3-legged stool of the model that I use. And since the interview is a selling situation, then how do we sell those? So that's what the interview success workshop. It is a learning interview. It is not a mock interview. We're learning how to sell ourselves, how to put those 3 elements in there, how to look at the 12 categories of questions. We look at motives behind those questions. Why are they asking it? Who's asking? Where are you in the process to determine how we might respond? We're going to look at strategies for each, and notice that in the 64 toughest questions document, they emphasize strategies more than the content of the answers, as the strategies are more important. So to understand that and your options to go forward. So we're glad to have you participate. You have to be registered to attend. My About section on my LinkedIn page is all about the workshop, gives you details. I'm going to do 1 or 2 people at a time. I do them on Tuesdays, 9 to 11 Central. You interview each other, I take notes, and then we discuss how can we include the selling aspect. The major objective of the workshop is to move us from simply responding to selling, and how we can sell those 3 elements. So I'll be glad to have you participate. You know, sometimes interviewing causes us to be ill at ease, maybe even shaking of our knees. Well, it's going to be the interview success workshop that will release the ease. And if you would register, if I said please. So that's the poem for today. There's a QR code there. Let me go back one. There's a QR code there on the screen that if you want to register, it'll start an email to me, to my Yahoo email address. That's my webpage. You see my phone number and my email address on that. I use the Yahoo address for the workshop. That'll start. Just fill in a few of the blanks that are in there, send that to me, and I'll send you back availability. I will tell you that availability is running out for the year. So it's getting into December. So be sure and sign up. Be glad to have you participate. I call it learning without squirming. All right, the Dallas Pit Crew. I should get Cindy up here to talk, because she went through the interview workshop on Tuesday. She went through the Pit Crew on Wednesday. So she, if you want to talk about her, you want to talk about those 2 events and what you did, Cindy?
Yeah.
I'm putting her on the spot.
Testimonial for Walt right here. Okay, so the interview workshop that Walt hosts is with 2 people. And like he says, learning without squirming. So you come as you are, but you do prepare your resume and a job that you're interested in or currently interviewing for, so that Walt can look at it and prepare some questions. And so you're partnered with another person where you go through 12 or 13 questions in succession, and then he will be watching how you answer those. So then the point of that is that you're role playing so that you both get a turn to answer questions and be an interviewer, and then you learn from Walt. He will give you feedback afterwards on how well you did and some why the questions are asked. So that's the workshop. And then the pit crew is an actual mock interview. It's an actual interview conducted in panel style. So I had 3 interviewers, and again, you submit your resume and a job you're interested in or you're currently interviewing for, and the interviewers will do their own due diligence to come up with realistic questions, typically probably harder than what you would normally get at the actual interview, and provide feedback afterwards. So the interview itself runs about 40 minutes. And then they'll spend about 20 to 30 minutes, probably 20 minutes giving you feedback afterwards.
Thank you much, Cindy. The pit crew meets in person, actually at this church. We're in it today at on Court Road at Christ United Methodist Church, except on the 4th Wednesday, which will be adjusted in November and December because of Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're going to do that online session the week before. But just submit your resume, job description. Go to Dallas. You can send it to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, or you can go look up on the web, www.dallaspitcrew.com, and get some information about that. I hardly recommend that you take that. The reason they're harder is because we're not practiced enough. But when you keep practicing, they become easier and easier. So Jared came to the workshop, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. He went to the pit crew 7 times. His target was Lockheed, targeted for a year. he got the job and announced it. He said, the interview with Lucky was a lot easier than these. And you go, duh, I wonder why. All right. So practice early, practice often is one of the things that the PIC crew recommends that we do. So thank you, Cindy, for participating and giving you some testimony. If you want to know the real scoop, contact Cindy. So today's lunch is going to be at Country Burger. So we'll be there about 11:45 a.m. It's the northwest corner of Parker and Independence. Be glad to have you there. Jeff will be there today. And we're going to kind of give him a little surprise birthday celebration as well. And I also mentioned that, Mike Chapman was going to talk last week and he had to cancel last week. He does insurance updates for 2025. I've scheduled him for the 22nd of this month, but he's going to try to drop by. And so if you have any insurance questions and Mike is there, you might want to say hello to him. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's super. And he really has the person in heart. All right. This is how he makes his money, but he's really interested in making the solution just be the right one for us. And he pays a lot of work and a lot of attention to that. So today's the main event. It's open forum. You have questions, you can ask us and we'll be glad to help you through these challenges of job search. Okay. So who wants to start? Okay, for those in the room, just get the microphone. So Eric is going to jump in. Say your name so everybody will know you.
Yes. My name is Eric Sokolowski. I'm new here. My question is, how do we affront or combat the psychological side effects of the depression and the loneliness going through times of this is personal catastrophe for some people?
Right. It's a good question. I'd love for all of you to show yourself, show your video, unmute yourself. Who wants to talk about that? Anybody here experience depression during job search? Anybody here not experience it during job search?
I think it's a matter of making sure we are with other people who are positive in their job search and other groups that will help support you. So by attending these calls and attending some other, support calls, and make sure you make time for yourself. I mean, you have this time that you never had before while you're in job search. So do some things for yourself that you wouldn't have had time during a job search. So you have to take care of yourself and you just stay motivated. And for me, I have networking calls, a lot of them every week. And so by networking and talking with others, help keep them motivated, give them ideas, they give me ideas, and it keeps you going.
Thank you, Patty. Patty is our Phoenix representative.
I am.
Go ahead, Stephen.
So the best resource I've seen where everything is all kind of put together is from Never Search Alone. And if you want to check that out online, it's free. You go to phyl.org and you got to navigate to something called a checklist for laid off or let go. And it talks about all kinds of stuff about how to, about mourning your loss, about, about taking a break, about volunteering, resources, finding your true friends in the business. I'm just reading off the actual checklist here, but there's lots of stuff kind of all put together. It's the best I've seen. Thank you, Patty. So there's not many of us that have done Never Search Alone, but I think Patty, you've done it, right? I'm in it too. So I'm happy to answer questions on Never Search Alone if you're interested. But you should be able to find that resource there. I can testify to the other stuff too. Being, trying to volunteer and give back to people in the job search is, really helps boost your internal self-worth and confidence again. Something that I kind of went through that I want to make you guys aware of is when I hit the 1 year mark, I hadn't taken a break. I mean, from the moment I got laid off, I was on it, 100%, and doing the best I could, but I was really just never taking a break. And I needed to stop and take a break, and went to go visit a family member. And when she, when we're talking, she's like, how are you doing and stuff. And after we got done talking, she said, do you realize how you discount yourself? I had no idea. The way you feel in your heart comes out whether you like it or not. So being really sincere in your heart about what your worth is and your confidence and all that stuff, you got to take care of it, because it's going to sneak out in the words you choose, the way you hold yourself. You can almost see it in your fellow job seekers, when they're introducing themselves, you can almost see it in their face. So, really kind of be mindful of that and take care of how you feel in your heart. And then, take whatever, feedback you can get from others about how to do that, but really be mindful of it because it sneaks out. Anyway, that's all I want to say on that. Thanks, Mike.
Stephen, if you put that link in the chat window.
I'm going to. I hope it works. If someone could tell me if it works or not.
Okay.
Yeah, that would
Someone
be
else?
good, Steve, because I tried to go to that download checklist and I wasn't able to download it.
See if that
But let me
works.
see if
Yeah.
if the Google Docs works.
Okay. Some great information, Stephen.
Oh, good. Todd said
Yeah,
it works.
it works
Okay,
for
good.
me. Thanks.
Okay, go ahead and state that link again.
It's a long link, so I put it in the chat. Is that okay? Matt, can you help me with that?
Yeah, and I got it too. I was able to pull it up. Thank you so much, Stephen. That's going to help a lot of people.
I think if Matt, I don't know, do you put out an email? Maybe you could put it in there.
I will include the chat as usual in the follow-up email.
Thank you.
So, Eric, if you signed in, you'll get a perfect.
Yeah, it'll come out to all the participants as well.
I am 2 weeks behind. Since I missed 2 weeks, I will get caught up this weekend.
Just because he was out of the country for 2 weeks. What a lame excuse. Let me throw in a couple of things. Just quick thoughts. I lost my wife 9 years ago. So you want to talk about, depression and loss and all that going through there. And losing a job can have, similar type of, effects on us. So what did I do? I did grieve for a while, but I realized that I had to stop grieving at some point in time, because the more I grieved, the longer I grieved, the less I would be moving forward. And so, yeah, well, I kind of knew that, but I didn't want to. I didn't have, I knew what I should do. People said, Walt, you're not alone. I said, yes, I am. I was, you get out there with people, say, I know I should do that, but I don't want to, And so we know what we should do, but then doing it is different. So it requires a little bit of self-discipline to force ourselves out of that slump. So we want to minimize the slump. We're going to have them. They're going to occur. They're going to happen. So, all right, let me understand. This is where I am. Let me go through this. And then, all right, time's up. Time for me to get moving and move forward. So that's, that's my suggestion. All right. Other
Can
questions?
I add one more thing, actually?
Sure, Stephen.
And this is a kind of a adjacent conversation, but it's about, and this actually on the checklist too. It's about rebound jobs. So one of the things that Pat Romboletti talks about in the Bulletproof Your Career call is your financial and emotional runway. So like how much, you're seeing the train coming down the tracks at you, either financially or emotionally. And for me, my work it's a big part of who I am. And if I'm out of work for a long time, I go crazy. My wife does not want to be around me, even if we're not in financial trouble. It's really hard on me as a person, you know, and my self-worth being identified with my work. So anyway, just be mindful of what those are, your emotional and your financial runway. And then I got into a really interesting conversation with my accountability group or job search council, whatever you want to call it. Thank you, Patty. About how to know when to take the job. About, is this really the right fit for me and should I take it anyway? And so the conversation was, is this going to be better or worse for you in the long run? And kind of put it into a long-term context to help you answer the question. Because and framing it in terms of your runway, right? You got to finish a runway. You know, I mean, a lot of people got no severance, 2 weeks severance. I mean, geez, you know. So when you're looking at these jobs, you know, the question is, okay, if I take it, am I going to be better or worse off in the long run? And some places are so bad for you to, you know, and set you up for failure that it might actually hurt you in the long run and be worth, you know, so you got to just, hopefully that helps kind of frame it a little bit. Anyway, thanks, Walt.
Sure enough, Stephen, you know, there was a person who had a job that she could do. Okay, this is the same thing you're talking about, Stephen. Okay, I can do this job. And, you know, you look at the pressures and, you know, it's pretty difficult to turn down a job. All right. It's hard to do that. She did not check out the culture of that company and she quit in 2 months. Said it's just, you know, it's just a terrible place to work. Wasn't worthwhile for me. So even when you have to take job B, the suggestion is it going to help you get job A? Can you do things in job B that's going to add to your experience, add to that? And so look as it is not a job I can do, but a job that's going to help me get to job A later at some point in time. So that's just her story.
It's also easier to find a job if you have a job.
Okay, Eric is saying it's easier to find a job if you have a job. Well, retained recruiters hardly ever hire anybody that's, you know, that's unemployed. They have a strong bias and only picking people that are employed and trying to steal them from other companies. So there is for retained recruiters particularly. But yeah, and it's kind of hard to find a job when you have a job. All right. And so you're busy working your job and you also want to look for the other job. And so you have to, you know, apportion, balance your time. And so it's not balance work and life, it's balance work, life, and job search. So it can be a challenge. But if you're not doing something that you feel is moving you to the job you want, that's one of the questions I would ask and saying, how's that going to help? I'm just repeating your words, Stephen, in another way. Any other comments or another question? If you want to put your questions in the chat, we're trying to watch the chat as well for questions. All right, Stephen.
That actually leads to a question I have, which is, and thank you, Eric, is, you know, do I have a job? And the question of, should I hang my my shingle out there as a consultant and take little consulting jobs and actually say, I am employed, I'm a consultant. A lot of people are talking about that. So the question is, should I do that? You know, should you say that you're a consultant? Because I've heard negative things on that as well. Like, hey, don't ever say you're a consultant. They don't like it. Some people say, hey, if you say you're a self-employed consultant and you have your own company, that it's just another way of saying you're unemployed. I don't know. I've heard negative stuff too. So I'd like some feedback on that. What do you think about hanging your shingle as a consultant in the job search? I mean, in the job. Yeah.
Can you hear Matt?
No, I say it again.
I would say absolutely yes to consulting. It allows you to create, you know, Stephen Sulkin Consulting, put it on your LinkedIn profile. And your description is, freelance consulting, example projects include, yada, yada, yada. So it fills the gap since you launched your last job. It also shows initiative. It brings in money. And as a consultant, I think it's a positive. I tell people all the time, because I'm trying to get back into industry. I used to be a consultant because it's a little less hectic. And I tell people being a consultant is like dog years. You learn 7 times more as a consultant in a year than you do if you're working in industry. And the reason for that is you're jumping from project to project, industry to industry, client to client. And so you just become more valuable. My 2 cents.
While you're talking, Matt, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, my name's Matt Keelan, as it says on the bottom of my window there.
And you're looking for?
I'm looking for, oh, that introduction.
That
Sorry,
introduction.
Matt Keelan, I'm an IT VP or director, depending on the size of the company. I help companies spend their dollars wisely, and I keep hackers out. Matt Keelan.
All right.
Do I have to get up?
No.
Oh, okay, here I am.
If you want to be seen by the others, yes.
Yeah.
Since you're new.
We're here. Yeah, so I think everybody here, I mean, so Friday morning, we're all here at 9:30, or some got here earlier. But we're automatically a selection of people who are motivated, and we like to show up. And so as to answer the consulting question, my natural character is to always be busy. I'm always busy, even if I don't have a job. And I've been technically a consultant for the last 5 years. You could also be super negative and interpret that as saying I've been unemployed for the last 5 years. However, it's been an incredible last 5 years. It's been insanely busy. It's been very hectic. Cash flows have been incredibly lumpy, where it's been, long stretches of time with no money and very short bursts of time where, I've been blessed with income. And so I would categorically say yes to that question. And some companies, you read these job specs and they want motivated, entrepreneurial people, all those silly buzzwords about a dynamic work environment and whatnot. And so let's see if they put their money where their mouth is. Do they really want someone dynamic, or do they just want a cog in the wheel? And I think it's just going to show up in their character and your character, and at which point you're going to find the right fit. At the same time, I named my consulting firm Perpetual Capital as opposed to Eric Sokolowski Consulting, and so it just kind of adds it's from a marketing perspective, a little bit of veneer to it, and a little bit of it's just a marketing spiel.
Yeah, I like it.
Basically, as opposed to Eric Sokolowski Consulting, but they're both the same thing, right? Anybody else?
Mike Belzil. So I would definitely echo the sentiments about cultivating entrepreneurial efforts, consulting, et cetera. Because the reality is you look at the profile of the folks that are here, we're all mid to more senior in our career trajectory, and we're going to age out of corporate America. I mean that's just the reality. So preparing for that, I think involves some of these activities, and it's kind of you're not just solving your short-term need, you're preparing for that next phase of all of our careers.
I am not aging out.
Yeah, this is Penn Hoyt. I've done the same thing. I mean, you got to keep busy, you got to go on. When you do get a part-time job, sometimes that can, depending on what kind of job it is, can eat you alive. But doing the consulting business, I did that here and there. It is, it's, being a country boy growing up in deer hunting, it kind of is like deer hunting. You have long spells of boredom followed by minutes of excitement when you're consulting. But it gave me a great chance to at least get out from underneath a rock, which is something I'm very guilty of doing, and get out and meet people. I actually got to work with a gentleman, and I apologize for the name of the organization that pulls people together. I can't find it on my phone for some reason, probably because, as my son would say, because I'm old. But trying to find the name of it, I will have it next time and put it out to the group. But it matches people who are working with people who are entrepreneurs trying to get their businesses up and running for different places. And I actually met a gentleman, and I helped him put together his business plan and his marketing plan. And that was, God, it was 6-7 years ago when I went through this before. He actually now owns the franchise and franchises out his company. And it's a massage therapy company, but I helped him pull that all together. So that was a nice little thing that I got to do. And I get to see the emails that he sends on out to people and stuff. So back in your mind's like, yeah, I helped out. Because a lot of times, and I'm sure Matt and other people who've done consulting, often you put together the program, you hand it off, and then you never know if it gets done correctly or not. So so you never know. So, but in this way, I got to see it, and I think it's a good thing to put on there, because you get to explain, well, what do you mean you're consulting? Well, I worked with XYZ and we did this, and I got to bring them along that way, and it shows that you're keeping skin in the game, as opposed to sitting back and going, gee, I sat on the computer and played video games all day long, type of thing. But that's my take on that.
Thank you, Pen. I would definitely suggest that you research owning your own company. What's it like? What do you have to do? What are the legal ramifications? Talk to people who have started their own company and said, okay, here's the things that I need to do. It's one of the challenges with doing that is you are the CEO, you are the financial officer, you are the operations officer, you're HR. I mean, you have to do it all right? And so there's a lot of work that you have to do just to have that business started. So I suggest you research that. It was years ago that somebody presented, said, do you want to own your own business? And I'll see if I can research and find that. Just a note, Rosina put a link in the chat window for Career Care next Monday, where Matt's going to give his tips and tricks in the IT on your phone and your PC, which I heartily recommend that if you haven't heard that, because I have used some of those tips and tricks to really save me some time doing just daily routine work. It's been very beneficial to me. I still have some things on my to-do list. I'm very concerned now about how many people can see my information and how I've given that out to the world. Anyway, strongly suggest that you take a look at that. You can go to the careerdfw.org calendar page, look up on Monday at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. 2 p.m. and you'll get the link and the information there. Let's see, Matt. Well, it's a well presented document. All right. Anybody have any other questions? Rosina, you might want to somebody mentioned Beth Romboletti. You might want to, are you?
Pat Romboletti, I put the information in the chat.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And I've expanded the information in the chat as well.
Yeah. So she has what, 300 or 400 people, maybe more on those calls?
Last time I
300 to
checked,
500 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 500 people on the call.
Yeah.
So, okay, next question.
Looks like Mark Jermansky has a question. His hand is raised.
Okay, Mark, unmute yourself. Just unmute yourself and jump in.
Okay, looking through LinkedIn, I noticed that in the profile for your specific industry, I have a list. I provided it in the chat of all the different possibilities to select. Now, my question is that for the recruiters looking at me, or is that just for me searching for other job opportunities? And how to select the proper one? I would prefer to select all of them, but I can't do that.
Do you mean under different job titles, for what to put for your headline, or where
No,
exactly
this
do
is
you mean?
under your profile when you select the industry profile. I provided a link to under my search results. If you click on that, it'll provide somewhat of a definition. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, maybe I'm not understanding, maybe somebody else is understanding more easily. I just know that for what recruiters are looking for, they look on the job title, on whatever you're
Okay.
looking for.
Okay, so now for here, what do I select? I have a whole bunch of different industries. I'm trying to narrow it down.
Like, what was the industry that you were most recently in, or that you've done a lot
I
of
was in
work in?
telecom.
Then put telecom if that's where you want to be.
Yeah, that didn't answer my question, but I
Well,
want
somebody
to
else
be
can answer the
available
question.
to the most people, to the most industries out there. So
Eric's got it.
therefore, go ahead.
So on my LinkedIn, there's my name, and then there's like a little bio. And in the bio, I put in all of the buzzwords that are related to my experience in my industry. So it would be loans, lending, credit, equity, risk, credit committee, watch list. And the list goes on. I have 100 words. And then I think I know what you're talking about. Then there's this weird kind of nondescript place where all of these words show up, like what you have.
Yes.
And I didn't generate that list. And I genuinely have no idea. I think that that's a list so what happened is, so I'm on my LinkedIn, I'm open to work, and then this thing showed up. And I think that there's an AI thing in the LinkedIn that is linking recruiters in those industries to my profile. And I hope that can help in answering your question, but I kind of have the same question, and those are my thoughts around it.
I just asked ChatGPT, which industry should I choose in my LinkedIn profile? And the answer was, choosing the right industry in LinkedIn is essential for accurately presenting your professional brand and increasing your visibility to recruiters and industry contacts. Here are some strategies. Number one, align with your target industry. 2, reflect your current industry if happy in your field. 3, choose broader categories if your role spans multiple industries. 4, choose what recruiters use to search for roles like yours. Does that help?
Somewhat, yes. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about LinkedIn Tuesdays coming up. For those of you who may not be aware, Patty actually leads that. She had to leave for an appointment, but there's a series of sessions. There's 4 or 5 different speakers that
You'll
can
need to unlock your
rotate.
iPhone first.
Well, be quiet, phone. Don't tell me that they're not listening to us. Because they are. But anyway, and you can ask that question, because every Tuesday there's a LinkedIn speaker about that. And so we go into some of the particulars. There's also some recorded versions that are out there as well. May not answer your particular question. And there's one of the speakers, Terry Sullivan, who actually makes his living talking about LinkedIn and using it not only for job search, but other purposes as well. His is not recorded, but he's got a great presentation too. Pardon?
Is this the Bill Grover thing that you're talking?
No.
This is on Tuesdays where?
Every Tuesday. I'll tell you at the end. I'm gonna cover it at the end. So good old LinkedIn, how they switch without us knowing anything. how they figure out. My suggestion is spend some time on LinkedIn, work on being found, but spend more time finding. But we got to work some on being found, right? Okay. Question. What challenges can we help you with? What is one of the most difficult things that you have in job search? What are the things that you think are slowing you down or inhibiting you or challenges you have? I give you 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back to Cindy. She raised her hand first.
Good. Good to hear someone else.
My question is searching for recruiters on LinkedIn to build up like a Rolodex of people to reach out to. So we talked about people searching for you, rather you searching. So I've heard that's a great strategy. So I just want to hear from the team, like what are some search parameters that you put into LinkedIn? What are some outreach email templates that you can share with me? I'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Cindy, I don't know that I've been super successful with it, but I know one technique that I've seen, I think that Terry talks about on the LinkedIn is there's a process that he kind of walks you through to basically do a clean search in LinkedIn and then get to the extra filters and then basically put the word search recruiter. So you start very high level with your focus area, product management or operations or whatever, and then you basically just add filters, and it will get you to a refined list of recruiters in your geographic area for your focus area. And then basically mine that list, first, second, third is a good way to build up relevant rosters of recruiters.
Yeah, I did see Terry's presentation on Tuesdays. That was really good. I'm curious to hear like what are people's success rates with that? Actually just like cold outreach.
So I naturally gravitate to people and the personal contact and the cold call. I do not naturally gravitate to, and I know people here are not going to like it. I do not gravitate to AI and LinkedIn and the computer. And so for me, showing up is really important. And when, for example, I think it was Thursday, I had lunch at the Dallas Chamber. I hit up the Dallas Chambers and the corporate, is it the corporate development committees, what they call?
Economic development.
Economic development corporations. And at one of these luncheons or call them networking events, I'll collect 30 to 50 business cards. And so that's my day. That's from 9 to 5. And then so before 9 and after 5, it's all the follow-up work. And that's also an incredible amount of work. And so from personal referrals and from the cold call, you use your 10-second elevator pitch. And I tend to like to leave a voicemail as opposed to actually getting the person to pick up the phone. If they pick up the phone, then they pick up the phone and you just kind of go for it. And I've had an incredible success rate doing that because it's really, really hyper-focused. And so you go to these networking events, it's not necessarily a target-rich event, but let's say out of 50 people, you'll have 3 or 4 that are really target-rich. And you build a rapport with them. And then you either contact them directly again, or they'll give you 5 contacts. And it's incredibly efficient. I've had very, very high success rates. And at the end of it, I may not get a job, but I'll definitely have a couple coffees, and now I have new friends in the industry. And so my approach is let's get a coffee together. And then Matt's going to hate this, But when they counter with, oh, okay, I'm really busy, I'll have a Zoom call with you. I kind of put that on my B list or my C list because I'm not interested in Zoom calls. Because if you can sit around in front of your computer for 30 minutes, you can go downstairs and go to Starbucks with me for 30 minutes. So it's just, so they're a little disingenuous. And they're probably not as interested in the people contact as I am. They're probably more interested in what's going on in their split screen than what's going on their Zoom call with me. And so that's my strategy. And it is very labor intensive to showing up, but you get really, really good targets and really, really high success rates.
Anyone else? So you mentioned one thing about building rapport. And so how do you build rapport when you meet those?
I think Stephen Sulkin had a really good point. You really have to work on yourself first. You have to be interiorly happy. And so when you build rapport with people, that just comes off naturally. And this is going to sound really stupid, but maybe get a dog, because dogs are genuinely happy creatures, and they teach you how to be a happy person, and you can be really silly with them. And I think, let's get to kind of get a little religious here. I'm not sure if everyone here is Christian. If you're not Christian, you're still welcome. But in order to get to get into the gates of heaven, you have to have the what did Jesus say? You have to be childlike, or what did he say? You have to in order to approach the gates of heaven, you need to be a child again, or something like that. No, Walt, that doesn't ring a bell.
I've heard that, but I can't.
Childlike faith.
Yes, something like that. Oh dear. And so my phone's ringing. No. No, this is more important. And so how do you build rapport is the question. Is you approach people a little bit playfully. You don't take it so seriously. Maybe a little comment on their shoes, or there's a situation in the room. We're all here for a particular reason, and you can talk about that reason. And so I mean, if you show up at a networking event or at a career fair, and you just aggressively show up to somebody and say, "Give me a job." I mean, obviously they're not going to give you a job, but if you can tell that there's a mutual interest, or if it's a career event for a particular corporation, and you've done your research, and you looked at maybe they did something in the last 12 months that is of particular interest, you can mention that back to them. Anything to kind of get them talking, where you have that mutual interest, and you're upbeat and you're happy about it. And I think that's how you build rapport. And it's very qualitative, not quantitative. I hope that's helpful. I don't know.
Any other comments? Stephen?
If you guys have gone to South Lake in the networking group rooms, Henry Jordan talks about being a go-giver. He refers to the go-giver book. But people can tell if you're a giver or a taker. And if you are, sincere about being a giver and you're consistent, people can tell and, make a judgment just from watching how you speak and how you behave. Anyway, I thought that was, I really struck me when I listened to Henry.
Yeah, I suggest, it starts with them, not us. And so showing interest in them, genuine interest, and them finding out about them, showing the interest. And if you do know something, or you might be able to find something that says, "Oh, do you know about?" You might be able to give something to help them, in that little conversation, that short amount of time. And then they'll turn around and say, "Well, tell me about you." And so we have built the rapport before we even speak very much into that process. All the thoughts.
To go back to your thing, Cindy, about the recruiters there, I've done the same. And I've found when I'm reaching out to them, throwing a little note on there, that I'm getting about 50% of them are connecting with me. Had several even leave me very nice notes saying, hey, thanks for contacting me. It's good that I can build my stable or whatever you want to call a thing on that. We'll keep in touch as we go forward, but I really appreciate you reaching out to me because I think it helps them in terms of you're saving them a little bit of time. Because now they don't have to search for you because obviously you're a good person. You fit the mold. You don't want to reach out to recruiters who aren't in your industry. Like I would not be reaching out to the lady who's on right now because she's finance. That's not me. I'm marketing. So you want people who are in that marketing area and reaching out to them. And then every one of my notes always says, hey, I know you probably don't have anything for me at the moment, but take a look at my background and people I'm connected to, and I'd be more than happy to introduce you to anybody who you might be looking for. And that goes a long way with a recruiter because again, it saves them time and they know you want to work with them. So about 50% I've been hitting on that one. So that's, again, they're looking to build their networks like everybody else is, and they get paid to build a network. So.
And recruiters know recruiters. Go to Foster. Foster is the connection guru and he's a recruiter and he knows, plenty. So you can ask other people that are in your profession, are they using a recruiter and how would they rate that particular person? There's 13 videos out there. I'll mention them at the end, but one of them is dealing with recruiters, recruiter due diligence. But your idea of saying, I can help my recruiter before I ask them to help me is a great way to get that rapport built and someone interested. Other questions?
Just a further comment to what Pat said. Remember that recruiters have an ATS, just like companies have an ATS. So applicant tracking system. So even if you, to Cindy's point earlier, her question, are you finding success reaching out to recruiters? The answer for me is yes, because in business, would you rather cold call somebody to try and get business, or would you rather have a potential client call you and say, I want your help? You want the latter? Well, a recruiter is the same way. They get paid by placing people. If somebody calls and they're qualified, especially if they're qualified right away for something that they have in their queue in terms of a position they're trying to fill, that's work that they didn't have to do, to Penn's point. So I've never had one turn me away and say, sorry, can't help you. They never do that. They'll probably ask that you send them the resume. They're going to scan it into their system and it's going to match against the requirements that they have for their jobs that they're looking for. So the last point is it's, use your resources kind of thing. You're one person looking for a job, but if you've got 10 recruiters looking for you at the same time, you now have leverage. It's like, being a manager and managing 100 people. You have leverage. You can go on vacation, stuff's still going to get done. It's the same thing with recruiters. You got 10 recruiters looking for you. You can disappear for a week and come back, and you might have a few hits just because they're looking on your behalf.
Recruiters do not find jobs for us. They don't work for the company. They work for themselves. So how can we help them do their job? All right.
We go find the hiring manager.
Right. Yeah, I did the networking and found the hiring manager and got an appointment to go interview, but I had to talk to HR, and her first question was basically, how'd you get around me? Okay, she asked it a little bit nicer than that. She says, how'd you do that? And so I had to come back and say, well, I had this information connection, but what can I do here to help you? And I immediately turned to say, I'm here, I'm on your side, I'm, whatever it might be. But she was very curious. So that was an internal recruiter. All right, enough on recruiters, right? All right, Stephen, since you haven't said anything lately, jump in.
Hey, actually, I wanted to jump on something Eric said earlier, and we didn't chew on it. But because you talked about your your mental state, and you specifically said loneliness, and we didn't talk about the loneliness part. And like, because when you're in a job, you're not alone. You're with a community. You belong in that community, and then when you get laid off, you're instantly not. And in the job search, don't do it alone. And it's really, really important. Like when you are getting to know people in the job search, like you are in this room, and you just find people you connect with and create a small job search council, or they call it accountability group, but I hate that name. But like a little, a job search group, keep it real small, maybe 3 to 5 people, and completely help each other in the job search. When you guys are talking about what's holding, Walt asked earlier, what's holding you back the most? What are you not doing that you should be doing? Why aren't you doing it? Like just talking through that, or your apprehensions about stuff, or how to approach something, or how to take feedback. How should I take this? I'm taking it this way. What do you guys think? The other thing is that there's tasks that you have to do in your job search that you have to do alone. Like it has to come from you. But there's others that are way better when you have partners. Star stories are a perfect example of that. Like when if you were to interview each other and, tell me about a time something you're really proud of, and you just start articulating it to that human being, it comes across way better than if you're doing it on a computer. So, in terms of the loneliness, don't be alone. Go gather some people up and solve that problem, because it really, really helps.
Thanks, Stephen. The part of accountability is the basic outline of the group is what are you planning to do next week? What did you accomplish last week? And then people help us with saying, one of the things I did when I was in a group was, how are you going to do all that? I mean, you look at their plan and here's what they're going to accomplish next week. So it helps us, because some people, they meet weekly, and then the day before they make sure they try to get the things done that they said they were going to do this week for this meeting, because they didn't want to come to the meeting and say I didn't do anything. Right. So it helps us do what we should do, and it's helping others. It's focused really on helping others. And so Harley, whatever you want to name the group, Stephen, is fine. All right.
There's a question online about role description. So I've seen that as well. The question is, how do you answer role description when submitting applications online? Do you copy and paste what you have in your resume? I asked my good friend, I can't tell you their name, but I can give you their initials, AI.
Thanks, Matt.
So copying and pasting directly from your resume can work, but it's often more effective to tailor this description slightly to highlight the skills and experience most relevant to the position you're applying for. Steps to consider. Number 1, match key phrases and skills. Look for the main responsibilities and skills listed in the job. Align your role to reflect these. Incorporating some of the same terminology helps your application get past the ATS and makes it more appealing to the hiring manager. Number 2, summarize your key achievements. Don't provide all the detail that's in your resume. 3, tailor for relevance. And 4, keep it concise. And I agree that that's confusing to ask for a role description. When I first saw it, I said, you don't know what you're hiring for? You're supposed to tell me what the role is, the other way around.
So basically it's like a summary of your skills, right, Matt? Is that what is that the message?
Yeah, I think role description is a bad way to say, tell us about yourself. I think it's more of a, tell me about yourself. And just like in a resume, you want to make sure that you include, I help.
Yeah.
And here's how I can help you based on my experience.
We're thinking
Got it.
quite alike, Matt, maybe because you're sitting next to me, but
Well, you just
The-
exude, I
the-
am, I do.
yeah, well, the idea of, there's an opening statement in your interview that we'd like to make, that tell me about yourself. And if you take the workshop, I have an outline of the kind of content and the things we ought to do very briefly. And one of them is, I'm this kind of person, I do these kinds of things, and I help you achieve these kinds of results. All right, something like that. Anyway, yeah. All relevant to the job description, praying that their job description is what they really want. Sometimes it's not true.
Thanks, everyone.
And by the way, you can use AI for that answer.
Mhm.
You can ask AI, based on this job description and my resume, please create 100-word paragraph that would help me get that job. And it'll give you, close to what you're looking for. Obviously, you need to scrutinize it and tweak it. But I use AI for that kind of stuff all the time. Saves me a bunch of time.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt.
I did have one question. I have an interview coming up on Monday, and one of the things I think
Congrats.
I've struggled with a little bit is having more conversational interviews where I can sell. So I know some of the basic best practices, but any additional tips you guys have seen to help make it more a free flow conversation instead of a traditional back and forth?
One of the main things I do is like hit LinkedIn real fast to see, what the person's background is. And do we have anything in common there, either by school or by companies or things that they've posted online to be able to bring that on up. I do creepy as anything, but do a search online with them, put their name on in there and see if anything pops on up, if they're involved in anything that's made something that shows in that regard in that area. Monday, I think that's a great time to have it because you get somebody who's coming off the weekend and you hit them on up with, hey, how was your weekend? What'd you do? And they'll throw some stuff at you very quickly. If you've got, one of the things I think that Zoom did is took away from that advantage of being able to sit in somebody's office really quickly and do a very quick look around and see, most people have their offices, they aren't the cold cubicle. They'll have things up there that shows something from their family or something they do outside, or, if you're in sales or marketing, their awards or, stuff like that, you can allude to or ask about and turn that question around from there. And then, while you're going through the interviews to ask them, hey, how'd you get here? How'd you get in your area? What groups did you used to belong to? And, stuff like that. I always try to make it conversational on that regard. And because everyone, let's say, likes to talk about themselves. Yeah. And if you can pull that, spin that, and then that leaves the person, when you get done with the interview, they feel pretty good about themselves because they get to talk about themselves. And it's not like, oh God, I got another interview, I got to talk to somebody and here we go. And, they get more excited about that kind of thing. It changes it to more conversational in that regard. So, but I think it's great. Congratulations on getting one on Monday. So I always like those days.
Yeah, there was a comment made by David saying, I submitted the application, answered the question, and he'd already uploaded the resume. Well, we cannot assume they read our resume. We cannot assume they read anything that we give them. So the idea is to help them do their job, help them in their hiring process. How can we, because a lot of people are not very well trained in interviewing. One person asked of leadership role, he says, well, can you code? Well, this was a leadership role. Coding was pretty interesting why he asked that question. He said, well, how much coding do you think would be required in this position? And he answered, I don't know. I don't even know what job you're looking for. So there's untrained people. They don't know what they're doing. How did you get caught on a team interview? You got caught in the restrooms. Hey, we need a third. Come on in and join, you know, I mean, it's all over the map. So we're trying to help them. So yeah, we cover the opening statement. Very critical. The greeting is very critical in the part of this. So we talk about those things in the workshop.
Yeah, I'd like to, I went through Matt's or Walt's interview.
Success workshop.
Success workshop. Thank you. It's what happens when you have to bring decaf. Not allowed to. The opening has helped me out incredibly in the interviews that I've had in the last, since went through that. It really helps, in my mind, put the control more in my hand, by saying, this is what I do, how I did it, and help. And, I take away the thing from them as to why you're looking for a job, and put it, bring it up in that, and that opens up other questions and makes it more conversational. But it's definitely made me a lot less nervous, when I go into that call, knowing that, hey, this is what I'm gonna say. Because I have yet to not have an interview start off with, so tell me what you've been doing.
Yeah.
On that. And this is an easy way to go, well, this is, bang, 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 and you set the stage. It works out.
Yeah,
great.
it would be nice if we could meet them in person, and during the walk to the office, we could have that that kind of conversation and start asking about them, and that sort of thing. Hard to do a little bit today, but let me give you some thoughts, to answer your question, Mike. Do we have a target defined? Do we know the kind of job? How would you describe that? Okay, some of it you put in your resume and everything, but is it defined of what you're looking for? Do you have a culture defined? Do you have work-life balance defined? Each of us may have a different definition of that, okay? So now I have a very specific target that I'm looking for. How do I find out if they meet that? And so we build a list of questions as well. So our questions also helps us get into that conversational mode. But our questions are saying, okay, well, describe a typical week, describe a typical month. How would you define, it says 50% travel required. Define 50% travel. Is that 3 days a week? Is that 6 months out of the year? And I'll be in Germany, I mean, what does that really mean? So what are those things that you would say is, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for? And then prioritize the most important questions that you have up front in order to say, yes, this is a match. Now I'm going to break that rule a little bit, because one of the first questions I want to ask is, tell me what you're looking for. How can I help you? What is it? Salespeople always ask, how can I help you? What are you, what can I do? And so we want to find out what they are saying it is. So I find out if it matches me, and then I can follow up with questions. So that's my suggestion on questions. If we don't have a prioritized list of questions and to go in to know what we're looking for, then we're just kind of shooting in the dark. So I got a question. Somebody else have a question?
I have one, which you.
Well,
shut
you
down.
go. I only go when nobody else goes.
Okay. This is something that started to stick in my craw a little bit, and maybe it's just how I was brought up on that. I understand, you pop the interview, you pop the resume off, it goes into the black hole, you may or may not hear something from them. That happens, that's cool. What gets to me is you get the interview, you're on the phone, yeah, this is good, I'll be back in touch with you another 2 weeks or another week. You get them to say a time frame on that. where you hit them up with the question, is there anything that I have not told you that won't get me the interview on this or get the next round on this? And then have it go totally dark and get ghosted. It really just annoys the crap out of me that you get. I mean, it takes 30 seconds to send an email saying, thank you, but we're going in a different direction. Fine, you're not hurting my hurt feelings on that. It just lets me check you off the list that I don't have this hanging out here going on. And when people ghost you, what are folks doing? Or are you just chalking it on up that this is society today and, you know, get used to it, old man?
Guess what my question was gonna be?
Same thing.
How do we avoid ghosting?
Oh, how do we avoid? Okay.
How about that? Same
So
question.
there we go. That's a different phrase on it, a much more positive spin than the cranky old man in the back.
Well, on Halloween, it's hard to avoid.
We're all ghosts. So this is a true story from the last week. So there were 4 jobs at this place, and I could do all of them because they're all very similar. And I had a friend of mine who works at this institution, who's the head of credit, but in London. So I email him. I say, I'm in Dallas now. Surprise! You would have never expected that. And these people are opening, and your institution's opening an office here, and I can do that. And so he emails somebody. I get a call from a recruiter internally within a day. And then the internal recruiter says, I'm not the right recruiter for you, but I encourage you to keep applying. So basically it was just a courtesy call back because my friend's very senior and I never expected to hear back from them. And then I get a random email from another recruiter, same institution, asking me to apply for a particular role, which I'd already applied to. So this proves to me that this is just a black hole. They can't even get their internal recruiting portal to work correctly because they're asking me to apply, which was very nice. They're asking me to apply for a role that I'd already applied for. So I send them the screenshots and my CV and the whole bloody blah that I'm doing this. So I'm hoping to get an interview later. If I don't get an interview, I just simply don't care. If my CV gets lost in their portal, I simply don't care. If the internal recruiter is ghosting me, I simply don't care because I've got a pipeline. I'm always working on my pipeline and my pipeline's always target rich and I'm always looking forward and I'm never, ever looking backward because if I'm worth anything, I'm also worth pursuing a little bit. I like to email and I like to keep in touch and I like to, let them know that I'm still around or I'm still available or I have an updated CV or I've acquired a new experience that they might be interested in. Yeah, sure. But, when you're keeping your pipeline full, super target rich and you're meeting new people, and we're talking about a population of targets that is literally infinite. That's how I deal with that. I don't even obsess. I mean, it's kind of like, when I got that courtesy call from the recruiter because of my friend, I felt bad for about 3 or 4 hours. I genuinely did. But when they followed up with me, I was like, oh, well, isn't that a nice to have? It's not a need to have. So focus on the future, keep the pipeline full and keep working. That's how I deal with it.
Just a couple of additional thoughts. I would definitely echo several of your statements. Your recruiting is, I'm not a recruiter, certainly, they have a difficult job. And oftentimes, the left hand's not talking to the right hand. And I can't tell you how many times in the interview process, I've actually had to straighten out communication glitches at my target companies where recruiter 1 wasn't talking to their boss or a hiring manager wasn't talking. So it's like, that's just unfortunately part of the mess of recruiting. Try not to take it personally. So I think that's something theoretically you shouldn't have to do, but sometimes you have to. And the other one is just, I'm getting ghosted. I'll, do, 2 or 3 legitimate outreaches and then completely go dark. And every once in a while, I'll just send a note or whatever. And I found that sometimes happens because I literally just last week got a note from a recruiter who literally had ghosted me from like 6 months ago. So he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry for not getting back to you," and this, that, and the other. And so I must have popped up on that recruiter's radar for whatever reason. But at least, to your point about always having a pipeline, don't obsess over it, but just always, kind of keep certain things hot. Don't put a lot of time into it. Don't worry about it. But you just never know when something's going to pop. And don't take any of it personally, because oftentimes it's either the messy recruiting process or people just being, just overwhelmed.
Okay, Cindy?
So Eric, in that situation you described it, that sounds like a pretty hot lead. I mean, I wouldn't just been like, whatever, I would probably pursue it a little bit. I think one thing that I heard was if this is something you're truly interested in, I would follow up with like a value add. So going kind of echoing what Walt was saying, continuing to sell yourself like, hey, I thought about XYZ and I thought it'd be interesting for you to know as is applicable to the role. And then just kind of leave it like that. But then there's also a limit. Walt says, okay, if you follow up like 6 times and it's like stone silence, it's like, okay, this is the last time. So that it kind of shows that you do have worth and I have other things I'm working on. So bye. But that's kind of what I would say is just like continue to sell yourself and just, like, hey, just a little reminder, I'm still here.
It was a question that also was a bench, so.
No, it's a bit, I get it. It is frustrating. But I do see like the ghosting culture kind of popping up, but now that people are more complaining about it, I do see like they're more diligent in getting back, like, sorry, not fit. Like, all right, cool, no hard feelings.
I have a value of keeping promises. Therefore, I don't make very many because I'm going to fulfill that promise. And then if I can't, then I'll make some adjustment. I'll call someone, I talk to them and say, you need to make a difference here. Cindy was mentioned something that's in the workshop and it's called, how do we handle this in the next steps arena? And so here's, this is an excerpt from the workshop there in the next steps. There's about 5 or 6 things we want to do in next steps. Will I hear back from someone as a result of this conversation or in?
We lost audio, Walt.
They may say, just send me an email or something like that. Then on that date and that time, we contact them back and then we do what Cindy was saying. So I'm still interested in the job. I enjoyed our discussion about these topics. I have some ideas about this, not just what is status. All right. And you leave, that voicemail. And then it's Jay Fusaro who came up with, if you do this and keep setting that date so that we are in charge of our job search rather than waiting for them to call us. And I'm trying to work on their agenda. And so I call them. And then that 6th time you say, this is the last time I'm going to call you. I've been calling you. Said, I'm still very highly interested in the job and I like, this and here's the things I can help achieve for you. And go ahead, continue to sound like that. And if they're really interested and you're still on the list, they're going to call you. And now you don't have to worry about, okay, I'm not worried, they're not going to call. So if that doesn't cause them to call us, move on to the next. So that's my suggestion.
Let's switch chairs so they can.
Yeah, we're
hear
going
you.
to switch chairs with Matt because his computer is alive. Oh, Okay, I'm now Matt Keelan. Actually, I have troubles with, I'm a Brad Pitt lookalike and it causes me great difficulties in life. Lots of challenges. Okay, we got a few minutes left. Any other topics, something hot on your mind, something we can help you with? If you want to send me a connection request, please send a personal note or an email that says, here's how I met you. I'd like to connect with you. You know, we're limited on messages now on that. Because I get requests from people I don't know, I don't remember. I don't remember everybody that might be on this group session today. And so I'm not a lion. I typically like to know something about why people want to connect with me. If you really want to blow me away, call me up and talk to me about what I do and follow up rather than just I'm a connection and I feel like I'm just one of your trying to be 500 connections on LinkedIn. All right.
And you'll score extra points if you call him Brad.
Other questions? Okay, well, we'll wrap it up for today. Do you have the PowerPoint on here by any chance? Let me get back to the PowerPoint for today.
Did you save it to OneDrive?
I don't know. I don't think it did. Okay, we're going to go without the PowerPoint.
You want to just see what slides are linked?
Yeah, we'll go to the closing. It'll be similar, except for what's coming up. Okay. Go back to the work. You don't have a lot of things hidden, so.
If you do the presentation here, then it'll not show the hidden ones.
Okay, Doug.
There you go. Now if you go up and down, you only see the ones that are not hidden.
Yeah, let's do this. Now,
stay over here.
How do I share? I love technology.
When it works, it's great.
When it works.
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Oh, we're getting there. Okay. And I can advance the slide on. All right.
Keep it mouse over here.
All right. So everybody can see that, I think. All right, let's talk about a couple of things before we finish up today. One, as I would definitely want, pardon? Okay. Just to give you, we mentioned careerdfw.org earlier, and I strongly recommend that if you are not familiar with that you go to that website and just spend an hour going through it and looking at it. One of the things I want to point out to you is their calendar feature. When you click on the calendar, it brings up something like this. This is one view. There's another view that you can call the agenda view. These are color coded to different things. You can see on the workshop on the calendar what different ones in color code mean. But it can come out in this agenda view for what's happening in the next few days. And you can click on any of those and get more details. Get links, you get who to contact, things like that for that. So there's a Monday. In fact, if you look at the Career Care Networking Group, that's was last Monday, but it'll show up there, and you can get the link right there. That's how you find it on careerdfw.org calendar. So I mentioned that one last week. All right, so we don't need that one. When you click on the Career USA YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/careerusa, and click on playlist, you'll get this screen. So here are the video recordings that Jeff has put out there, and Matt, now it's his job in in mixing up all the things we do here. Matt takes care of some things and I take care of some things. And he's going to show me how I can get to this uploading it myself this week. But anyway, here's a series of recordings and they're categorized, all right? And you can go to one, and like this is the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. You click on full playlist. If you click on this, it's going to start a recording. I want to mention this one. This has Mark McDonald and I put together 13 videos on interviewing back when COVID came along. We had to have 13. 12 steps are not enough for interviewing help. You need 13. Take a look at those. We talk about dealing with recruiters like in session 1. We talk about questions. We talk about star stories. You can check those out and see and play those at your own particular time that you'd like to do that. I suggest you do it nights and weekends, not doing productive time during the week on networking and things like that. But if you go to that, then you can see you'll get this kind of page, and here's all the recorded videos that are out there. We do have to add, we'll be adding 3 since Matt was out last couple of weeks. So we'll be putting those out there, but you can scan through those and you can do a Control F or find and look for a particular topic, and then click on that and you'll see the video. The meat of the session usually is about 30 minutes in, past the introductions and that sort of thing. So what's coming up next Tuesday? We talked about LinkedIn. It's not going to be Terry Sullivan next week. It's going to be Locke, I think. You put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, look at the chat if you have the chat. But you can also go look at the calendar for LinkedIn Tuesdays, 1 o'clock, and you can get information about that. It's in person next week. We're really booked up quite a bit. We do usually we do 3 interviews a week in 3 sessions, and you can observe and go into whichever one you'd like to observe as well as that. And then that's Terry. Then on Wednesdays, there's interviewing. This is a little bit older version of our PowerPoint because I don't have mine up. So you can come to the practice interview team. Cindy was talking about that, and we introduced that as well. Come observe, come and see what's happening, what's going on, and then sign up and participate. How many practice interviews do you think you need to have before you begin to really feel comfortable and have some confidence in your interviewing skills? Well, it's not 1. It's probably not 2. So my suggestion is come to the workshop, find out the fundamentals, and then come to the pit crew and practice those in your real interviews. So Cindy, poor Cindy, she got me for both rounds this week. So I'm trying to be real kind to her. All right.
She did really well.
She did super. She really did. And
the only person to ever ask a 7.
She asked 7 questions during the interview. And
So
that's the most we've ever had.
Somebody asked about how to make things conversational in an interview. The number 1 way is to ask questions of them during an interview while they're performing an inquisition on you. I would say, in addition to trying to find some common ground on LinkedIn ahead of time. Oh, you went to Penn State? So did I, kind of thing.
Okay. So what's coming up? This is last week's, but it'll show the next 2 weeks. So Strengthology, career transition with Brandy Shade. Maybe some of you know about Brandy and Clifton Strengths, that topic. She does a superb job of help us find out some things and how we can use that in our job search. And then the following Friday, Mina Brown will be with us and talk about the 1-page bio. I strongly recommend that we all have a bio. It's a great networking tool. I would prefer using a bio rather than a resume in networking. However, have my resume in my pocket in case they want to get the resume. But the advantages of that are great. So that's coming up on the 15th. So it's not Jason's Deli. It's going to be the Country Burger. That's at Independence and Parker and Plano. It's on the northeast west corner, for those of you that know what north, south, east, and west is. So anyway, be glad to see you there. Jeff's going to be there, and we're going to have a little surprise birthday celebration for him. Okay, thank you for joining us. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Walt.
Good idea.
You want to say the chat?
Hey, Walt and Matt, it's Rosina.
Okay.
Can y'all hear me? Hello?
In all my life, and all my travels, and all my taking my computer around,